Can I have no noise? I am on the phone, no noise.
Hi, everyone. So Charles is here. He's the director of strategic with ConsenSys. Yeah, I'll over to you, Charles. Please take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm very pleased to be here with you guys today. So my name is Charles Diossi. I'm director with ConsenSys in Hong Kong. ConsenSys is a blockchain engineering company. We are also an Ethereum product leader in the market. And I will talk to you today about new jobs that are only existing in the crypto and blockchain industry. And to give you some background, how did I came with these new jobs? The fact is I'm working in the B2B space, in the blockchain industry. And by looking at the job market, it actually tells you a lot about your customers, about your future prospects, to see how advanced and what kind of initiatives they are working on in the world of blockchain. So I always keep a look at how the market is evolving, looking at the job market basically. And it really came to my attention that there was very, very interesting new job titles and new jobs within companies which relates very much to the industry. And the reason is the crypto and the blockchain industry is experimenting really a lot and is very creative. So there is new business models, there is new jobs coming up, and that's something I want to explore with you in the next 15 minutes. So some of the jobs I will be presenting are existing today. Some examples are pulled from existing jobs offers which I've seen on the market. Some other jobs are not really jobs yet, but they will probably be paid jobs in the coming years, I believe. I'm not hiring. This is not jobs I'm offering to the audience, unfortunately. It's just some market research. So don't send me an email or a Twitter. There is no job offers right now on the table. These opinions are my own only, so they only represent my personal views, and they are not investment advice, of course. So if you look at the market of blockchain, you will see a very strong correlation between the price of crypto and the number of blockchain developers hiring. And it's more or less the same for the other type of job titles. So it's very interesting to see that during the crypto winter, which we might still be in, there was a little bit of a shrink of the numbers of crypto jobs being offered, but now they are starting again to grow. What kind of jobs are being the most demanded in the industry today? So there is obviously a very big pool and a very big need of engineering. So it's represents about 1/3 of the jobs. So this data is coming from christopjob.com. But what we see over the years, if you look at data from the job market from back in 2016, 18, and 19, you really have seen an industry maturing. In the early days, there was mostly engineers and operations which were in very high demand. What you see now is much faster growth in terms of demand for salespeople, demand for product designers, demand for compliance. So it really shows that actually the pool and the type of jobs being in demand by the industry is changing, and it's signaling very clearly an industry which is maturing. Over these 16 different jobs I will be highlighting, you can put them into 4 different categories. One very strong pool of jobs today is in the DeFi industry, decentralized finance. DAOs, so decentralized autonomous organizations, are also a big pool of new jobs titles and new jobs and possibly new careers in the coming years. Digital asset and trading remains a very strong play, and pure technology jobs. What kind of new engineers are we seeing in the industry? So let's get right in, if that's okay. So if we start with the DeFi industry, there is a very strong demand and some kind of new jobs appearing, which are decentralized finance product designer. You don't design a DeFi product the same way you design a financial product. There is a lot of technology, there is new habits, there is new assets, and people have been experimenting. And nowadays you start to see the market of DeFi growing, teams more and more embracing this opportunity in this new market. And you need new people, new type of people with a very strong product vision and also a very strong UX experience. As we all know, DeFi today is not offering the best experience. It's still for probably some experienced users, and there is a very strong demand for this new type of product designers. And if you want to apply for such job, if you see one day, you probably want to make sure that you are not confused between staking and pooling, and make sure that this kind of words does not sound like sports to you. So it's a little bit of a joke here. In the world of DeFi, as we've seen in the past weeks and past months, it's a very big experimentation. There is always a very big risk of basically PR catastrophes. So we started to see the industry and companies in the DeFi looking for DeFi PR director or PR director in the industry of DeFi, because basically you need to be able to message about your product in the right way. You need to be able to control also and manage a potential crisis and get some plans for potentially this crisis. All this money Lego narrative is nice, but sometimes you might burn yourself because another product or another protocol or another company or system is falling down. So be on the lookout for DeFi PR director jobs. They will be probably coming and growing as a category. In the category of DAOs, so we are moving from DeFi to DAOs. DAOs is a very, very new topic, but there is a need for new kind of jobs as well there. So just as a reminder, DAOs are decentralized autonomous organization, and what they do is they help to reproduce a corporate business entity or a non-profit organization, but without all the inefficiencies, which you will see. So there is a lot of iterations happening on this industry, and probably we will start to see some early days of DAOs coming in the corporate world. Therefore, there is new jobs which are surfacing. One of them is DAO architects, where these kind of people will be having a very strong knowledge about how to organize companies, how to run companies, all the legal aspect, maybe the business flow aspect, and they try to basically move these flows and these functions of the company into a smart contract environment. So DAO architect is something which is going up. DAO jurors. DAO jurors are interesting. You can be paid today on this kind of functions. The DAO called Aragon is offering this kind of freelance task. So when there is a conflict within a DAO, or when there is a conflict between the two different parties with a DAO in the middle, there is some DAO functionalities where you might be able to basically call in a human, a juror, which will be staking some of his assets and trying to basically solve the problem which was not able to be solved with the code itself and with the DAO rules. So there is new jobs happening here, and I think they're going to keep growing as well in the future. DAO Signaler, a lot of these DAOs today are helping to manage funds, manage grants. This is the first use case which are going. You can think of Moloch DAO, you can think of Metacartel and many others. And there is new jobs which are basically on the startup side. You might want, and we start to see some people getting into these specific functions on helping startups to basically signal to DAOs their project and trying to raise funding from this decentralized organization to help them build product and grow or potentially invest in the company. So DAO Signaler is something which is very interesting. The last category, which is always evolving, is a category of trading and finance. And as you know, blockchain is extremely meaningful in this industry, and there is a lot of adoption. So we've seen in some large trading shops and exchanges the rise of new job titles, which are head of institutional crypto coverage. So this is a category of customers which is new for exchanges, new for OTCs, and they really are in very strong competition right now to engage with this part of the market and make sure that there is the right people in front of this special type of customers. You don't deal with the retail trader the same way you deal with a crypto institutional investor. So there is new type of people which are needed there, and that's something which is growing in every single continent from US, Europe, and Asia. The other one very strong category where you see jobs and jobs and jobs again growing, it's the compliance part of the market, and specifically the crypto futures market. So all these derivative trading markets are fairly complex. Some of them are getting closer and closer to be regulated, or maybe the customers on this market wants to get really clarity on how to execute these contracts. And there is a need for compliance. So we see what we see right now is the exchange and the OTC desk of digital assets in all cities all around the world, trying to build teams which help them to stay in check with all the regulations they have to comply with. So compliance officer is something which is hard to hire nowadays, because usually this type of profile don't really want to be the first mover in this new industry. But if you are one of them, be on the lookout for compliance jobs within the digital asset industry. Head of stablecoins. Stablecoins is a growing business. It started with one or two companies, but now if you look at the market, there is a very, very large number of stablecoins, and you see the central banks working on this kind of also of product category. So there is a need. There is teams being built all over the world to manage these new assets, either from a product perspective as well as an investment perspective. So there is a lot of companies looking for people dedicated to stable coins only, and this type of people needs to come with good products understanding, compliance understanding, and also very good market update. That's very important. That if you apply for one of these jobs, when you see it, you get very clear in your mind of the difference between USDT, USDC, USDK, GUSD, BUSD, DAI, SAI, or HUSD, and I'm probably forgetting quite a lot of them. So an interesting new product category, and obviously in the world of stablecoins, a deep knowledge of the Ethereum network and developer tools and ecosystem is a very strong advantage. As we know, 95% of the stablecoins today are running on Ethereum. Crypto tax auditors, something for both the traders, the exchange, or anyone involved with digital assets. This is very hard today for companies to find the right auditors and tax partners who understand how these transactions are happening, what kind of assets are being traded. So that's a category also which is growing very strongly. So if you are today a tax auditor and you want to prepare yourself for the next 10 years, you probably want to get down the rabbit hole of digital assets in order to support new customers and build for yourself an edge in this industry. Crypto custody engineers, that's a job which has been evolving, which exists for a long time in the industry, which has been evolving quite a lot lately. Number one, there is more and more crypto custody services being built by big banks, institutions, or new exchanges. But there is also very, very different needs of engineering behind the custody services themselves. So if you look at staking, at validations, if you look at all the lending and all the different type of protocols to integrate, it really comes with a new set of skills. And the people which are familiar with this all this industry are getting in very, very high demand. What is interesting also is to see how different companies will try to hire custody engineers with a knowledge of Asian cloud services, because it's always involved a very high demand in terms of connectivity for the infrastructure. QA automation for smart contracts. As you know, the smart contracts can be written by hand and then crafted and sent to an auditor. But with the quantity of smart contracts growing, with the value stored or managed by the smart contract growing as well, we see more and more companies which are really implementing this high level of quality requirement for their coding, and automation is definitely part of this quality standard the companies wants to reach, or the regulator will expect in the future. So QA automation in terms of smart contract is a new kind of job and function surfacing, and this kind of people are in extremely high demand. And for them, it's very important to make sure that you're not confused between testing and formal verifications, which are two very different things. Data discovery and data cleaning. It's on the edge with the AI and machine learning job category, but blockchains are basically building and creating a very large amount of data, which is extremely important for compliance, for trading, and for understanding the networks themselves to be efficient. So we see new type of people and new type of data engineers which are very familiar with infrastructure, familiar with the protocols and the type of transaction surfacing, and these people have also a very big task into cleaning this data to make it readable and profitable for people mashing it. Chief Staking Officer. We talked about this a few minutes ago with the world of custody. These jobs are existing. They are growing in terms of numbers. They were never existing before, and it's really relating to a very big switch of many of the blockchain and smart contract platforms moving away from proof of work to proof of stake. And there is a very big demand, and there is an ecosystem growing around this, with specific engineers and also specific companies which are dedicated themselves to the staking business. So the CEO, the CMO, and the chief staking officers are new jobs growing up right now. Head of remote. In this industry, if you look carefully, basically every company is fighting for the best talents. It's still fairly hard to find a large number of talents to join your company and to build efficiently the product and the infrastructure you want to build. So many of them are looking at the future of work and how they can basically build and manage their teams in a remote manner. So working remotely is not a new thing. But what we've seen in the world of crypto is companies having no choice but to work remotely and trying to dedicate some specific staff within their team to ensure that the remote team business flows are in place, and that it's really remain a competitive advantage for the company, being able to work with the best talents wherever they are. Grants and bounty leads. It links to the world of remote and the shortage of talents in parts of the industry. Many companies are looking at platforms such as Gitcoin, for example, where you can create bounties about micro jobs or micro tasks or special modules you want to be built by third parties. And there is usually companies try with one or two different bounties. These are usually successful, and some companies are actually organizing teams and specific people to basically manage grants and bounties to help either their ecosystem or their product to make some faster progress using remote workers and using kind of future of work ways of building. And the last but not least, obviously, it's India community strategist, and this applies also to South America or China. What is very obvious if you spend time in this industry is that actually the technology is obviously extremely important, but the heavy lifting and what makes the technology a platform nowadays is not only the quality of the code or the security or the transactions per seconds, but actually the quality and the engagement of the community. And this is something you cannot really buy with money. You cannot really buy with more coders. It's extremely hard to build. It's extremely hard to keep a momentum. But creating this network effect will really make your company and will really make your network a success. So if you look at companies and if you look at these kind of jobs, it really signals when companies are thinking about community in the right way and putting resources and talents behind this. It signals very strong projects usually, and projects with a vision and a very good understanding of how it works. Having a Twitter account is definitely not enough anymore, nor is a Telegram account. So there is really a good investment into this category of job, and that's something people should always be aware of. So that's it, the 16 new jobs that only exist in crypto. Thank you very much. My name is Charles Dossi. You can follow me on Twitter, and I'll be delighted to answer some of your questions if there is any.
Yeah, Just one question, Charles, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they want to know how they can develop these skills for these jobs, and like how can they apply for these jobs, the attendees.
Yeah, so this job is actually a market study. Some of them are already filled. Some of them will be maybe surfacing later. I think the best way is to self-train yourself and to reinvent yourself. There is two ways to look for a job: is to look at job opportunities or job posting and listings on websites. Another way is to reach out to people if you really want to join a specific company, and tell them there is something you believe they are missing, and that's a kind of duty and experience you have. So don't be afraid to go to beat the competition by go hunting for a new job where the new job is not officially listed, but kind of craft it yourself and bring these new ideas of concept to companies. I think it's important to be creative, and this is also a way to keep self-reinventing yourself. I think probably our parents could get the same jobs for many years. Nowadays, we need to be able to reinvent ourselves, and one way to keep your mind open, doing some research and self-training yourself online, and creating the opportunities for yourself.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Charles. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking out the time. I'll see you backstage.
Thank you so much. It was great to be part of this event. Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.